No?
I believe we're going live.
Okay. Hey, look, it's me. I'm live. No longer dead.
That's how that sounds, I suppose. We're watching this. Okay, cool. Well, I hope everybody can hear us okay.
If not, add a comment and Matt will spend 20 minutes fixing it.
Yeah, it will be about 20 minutes of me fixing it.
Yeah.
It's our first time going live, not from a mobile device, and mostly just trying to see how this all plays out. So thanks for joining us in. We wanted to give you guys kind of a behind the scenes on what we do, kind of to create this podcast. And we just wanted to share the joy. This may or may not be suitable for all viewers. We're going to try to keep everything.
Matt will keep his shirt on. So that's what we're getting to.
Show us your. Never mind. Anywho, yeah. So we're trying this new live stuff. See how this plays out. So I'm sorry if I'm looking away and checking a bunch of different things. Mike, look for the blue rings. Okay, is that yeah? We're just trying to give you guys kind of a behind the scenes, a little bit of what we're going to be doing. What Sonic?
Look
Oh,
for the blue rings.
no,
I know they're gold. I know they're gold.
Sonic uses gold rings.
Hey, you never know.
Maybe that's our next podcast. We're going to talk about vintage video games
And how they relate to racing.
Yeah. So, and if you hear dogs barking or kids in the background, we are in my home, so that just happens. You're going to hear it, and you're going to like it. So
Dogs just happen.
They do just
show
happen.
up and happen. Same with kids. We just
Tim Betts says loud and clear. Tim, thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd love some feedback. So if you get any of this, just let me know. I'm saying a lot. I try not to say on the podcast, but for whatever reason, the moment I go live, it's just like word vomit.
they just happen.
That one was on purpose.
It was. Every one of them that I do is on purpose.
all of my segues that
ums.
you destroy, and we're not talking about the fun little devices you get to ride on. I'm talking about the
I destroy those too.
our segues between segments. All right, let's see here. Technology. How does it work? I also don't know how long Facebook's going to let us live stream until they're like, no, that's it. So we got to run a show, guys. We got some fun things coming up, and you're going to have to tune into our podcast to actually get one of our interviews. But I had the esteemed privilege to interview Jeff Doonan, the president of IMSA, the racing series, while they were at Mid-Ohio this past weekend. So we're going to input that into the podcast digitally on the back end, behind that curtain. So make sure that you stay tuned to that podcast. We're going to also be putting that near the end of the show. So if you're just going to skip through, go to the back half of that show, and you're going to hear it. It's about 16 minutes worth of an interview. Great guy, great interview. So I can't wait for you guys to listen to that as well. But today we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff. Some amazing cars that you can now import due to the import ban on a lot of these cars previously. We're going to be talking about the Bugatti, the company, not any particular model, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the cars that we want to import, and then we'll get right into that interview. So bear with us. We're going to start the podcast from here, and then you guys hopefully don't hear us flubbing too much, but if we do,
There's a lot of flubber.
we do flub quite a bit. We'll just kind of deal with it as we go. So, all right. I'm using a Zoom LiveTrack L8 for anyone who is interested, and we are using Shure SM58 microphones. So yeah, hopefully, and we actually just got Mike the exact microphone that I use. So hopefully the sound now sounds consistent.
So Mike has a good mic.
Mike has a good mic. Speaking of which, I should probably give you some good specs on your mic. Well, we also got some windshields that should hopefully help with the plosives. See, that sounded fantastic.
It gets windy in here too.
It does get windy in here. We got a fan.
A lot of hot air.
There's a lot of hot air, mostly on this side of the podcast.
Wait,
this side, my side.
You're saying you're hot?
I am a little warm, a little toasty, but I gotta rep the brand. It's on the side. I gotta rep the brand, Haggerty brand. Okay, let's see here.
Oh crap! We don't have any brands for Champion. Do we? I mean, I have to go like this the entire time.
Do we have to put crap? Put some comments
not-
down there if we've got to
not-
put a piece of black tape over Champion. Unless Champion, you want to be a sponsor. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has ties to Champion, but we'll definitely take more
Make a
sponsorship.
great sticker on cars.
We'll use it. All right. Oh, I got to actually select the stuff that we're going to be recording.
What if people?
I've done this before. If people can't tell, I've
What if
done it.
anybody would actually just want to see us just like sit around and talk about stuff, like just live stream
Well,
nothingness instead of an actual topic and just randomly conversations between Mike and Matt.
I mean, we could create another Facebook channel about that. That's the joy of creating this stuff. As you can tell, we are attempting social distance, but I've got really short arms, so
T-Rex.
we're basically trying to just keep ourselves in frame, but keep
Yeah.
ourselves as just as possible. Plus, I trust Mike. I know that he's safe and everything. Damn it.
Sorry,
Okay.
this is mine now, right?
Luckily, those windshields are fairly inexpensive. I've got a whole sleeve of wind socks. I took them out to Mid-Ohio just in case we had windy days, which actually on Sunday, the race day, was pretty damn windy. All right, we are recording. Hello and welcome to the Midwest Motoring Podcast, sponsored by Hagerty. My name is Matt Pesaconis. I'm the Regional Territory Manager for Columbus and now Cincinnati. So if you guys have any questions or if you're an agent, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put all my contact information in the comments. But I am joined in my home studio by my good friend and co-host, Mike Andreski. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Matt. So we moved up from the bunker to your home studio now.
I thought bunker was fun and all, but
I do like the natural light.
yeah,
does change some things.
We get to see the actual sunrise and sunset.
Yeah.
Unless it's actually today in Ohio, which is just kind of gray and dark.
November
so
sky.
and of course we're all wearing dark colored clothing. So let's see here. Yeah, so we've got a great show for you guys. Wanted to just say a little few things about Hagerty. So Hagerty is going to be the one-stop shop, like I always say, for your enthusiast car. So if you've got a normal daily driver and then have your enthusiast weekend warrior car, whether it be old, new, maybe it's an air-cooled VW Bug, maybe it's a Beetle, or maybe it's, I guess, the air-cooled Beetle, right, because the Bug was the fuel injection. I digress. Or if it's something new, like maybe you've got a brand new Yanko Camaro. Yeah, so if you've got something like that, we can absolutely put guaranteed, agreed-upon value on that policy for those cars. So go check out Hagerty.com for all that information. Also, they've got a great website for media. They've got a great community site. I highly recommend you guys, if you're a car fan, go check out community.hagerty.com. It's just that community is doing really, really well. We have here in Ohio a special event by Hagerty coming up. It is a self-guided road tour where we take you on a nice little tour of the Hocking Hills area and all the nice roads out there. I went and did the trip myself, and it actually turned out really, really well. There was a section of gravel, and we got that rerouted, but if you go to Hagerty or the community.hagerty.com, you can actually find the Columbus, and we'll post it on our Facebook page as well, so anyone who's following us on Facebook will be able to see it, is that we're actually going to post a self-guided tour. We're going to use an app called Rallyista, and basically it helps you do that self-guided tour just like you're on any big rally with a bunch of other cars. And we're going to take you to some cool places. You are going to, if you're in Central Ohio, it's going to take you all the way to Athens, where you'll be able to get some brews from Jacchio's Brewing, a fantastic place near my alma mater, OU. So go check it out, community.hagerty.com for a self-guided tour that we put on. Also, there's some little surprises along the way.
So is there a date for this, or is it?
It's self-guided, so once it goes live, it should be live by the end of the week, I believe. We are still kind of working just to make sure it works and get it all tuned up on the app, the Rallyista app, to make sure that everything goes smoothly for everybody. The internet down there is a little shoddy, so the nice
of
thing
hills.
about the app is that it actually downloads everything to the app, so no matter where you're at, it will just run. So it's a pretty cool thing.
It'd be a great time to go down in the fall season too.
Oh,
Especially
with all the leaves, yeah.
changing too. It'd be a beautiful drive.
Man, it's a fantastic drive no matter what you do. But yeah, definitely check it out. So community.hagerty.com. And we will post a link to it in our Facebook, like I said. So great show for you guys today. I know that was a long talk about what we were going to be doing in our sponsor, but I absolutely
He's
love Hagerty.
excited.
I am excited. So today we're going to be talking about a couple different topics. We're going to be talking about 8 amazing cars that you can in 2020 coming up in 2021, finally import into the United States due to that 25-year ban on certain cars that did not pass our emissions and safety standards way back when. Boo, our import laws. We're going to be talking about who might be trying to acquire Bugatti, the company, not the car, as well as our interview, as we kind of talked about on our Facebook Live, so be looking for that, is an interview with IMSA president John Doonan, who is an awesome guy. He was very humble, and he was very gracious to give us some time to talk with him while we were out at Mid-Ohio on Saturday and Sunday, this past Saturday and Sunday, watching some great races. Corvette took number 1 and number 2. I mean, it was them and BMW who were there, BMW that were there. So, but we're going to get to all that right after this. And we're back. So I wanted to talk, Mike, with a little bit of candor on 8 amazing cars that we can import now, well, at least going into 2021. This was a list built by Hagerty.com, their media site, so go check them out, Hagerty.com/media. But I agree with some of them, and I disagree with some of them as well.
They are not common cars, and some of them are not your typical. Whenever I think of imports, I always think of JDMs. For some reason, I don't usually think across the pond in Europe.
Well, I do think a lot of people try to. I mean, I guess that because of some of the cars that are excluded from our shores, and a lot of the ones that people lusted after were from Japan
Right.
and from that side of the pond, as you said, is that a lot of these are the other direction. You know, we're talking Europe. And I was unaware that some of these cars even existed.
There's some interesting ones we'll go over.
So really, we're going to go through the list, and then we're going to add a couple of our favorites that we think should have been added to the list that for some odd reason just didn't get added, and we don't really know why.
List.
Yeah, to this list, and we don't really know why they weren't added. You know, I really hope. I mean, the sound didn't change, but at my master level, I changed. So I'm really hoping that everything. We're going to have to cut this bit out, but I'm really hoping that everything went through. It sounded the same because normally
I didn't notice
if
much
we
difference. Now I do.
Okay,
So-
cool. So I think everything worked. So we're going to do a brief pause and we'll get right back. So the first car we're going to be talking about is the Lotus Elise. Now,
Series 1.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we do that again? Can I announce it first?
Well,
You took my thunder.
Well, that's what I'm supposed to do.
No.
That's what I always do.
Ah!
That adds like nobody, whatever.
I think the 2 people
Series
watching might have
1.
gotten that. All right, so I will be adding the Series 1. Let me
Fine.
do it. Let me
Whatever.
do this.
Never. I'll give you your moment.
So the first car I wanted to talk about is the Lotus Elise. Now, the Lotus Elise actually is in the United States, so a lot of people might be wondering, well, what the heck? Why is the Elise anything special? And we're specifically talking about...
The Series 1.
Yeah, so we never actually got the Series 1 Lotus Elise. It did grace our shores, but in different form. So although it took... I mean, the Lotus Elise is a purpose-built, I almost think, race car. So as Lotus builds cars, it's, add simplicity and then add lightness, basically. But initially, this was intended to be a very specific small run of vehicles from the Lotus engineering plant. That basically, the Elise was the car that they finally wanted to move away from the backbone chassis, as they called it, and instead they designed a system for building a frame out of bonded extruded aluminum. So it's a very intense system, but it's very rigid, very tough, and as they put it, wouldn't rust.
Aluminum does not rust. So you should be able to find some of these that are rust free or very limited.
Yeah, and I mean, like most of this list, like we're going to be talking about, is a lot of them do come from Europe, and I'm surprised at some of these. Like I never knew, like how they came about, why they were there, and hopefully they'll be inexpensive. But this one is not as surprising for the Lotus Elise. It looks a little bit different than the standard Elise. A little bit more subdued, actually, and it actually looks like it rides pretty darn high as a comparative of like maybe a Lotus Elise, like a Zige or something like that. So yeah, there's not really much to say to it, but it's a
They're not fast cars. They're just cars made to go around corners quick. I would compare this to just an exotic form of a Miata. That would more or less be what I'd think of because they're underpowered and with 118 power, 118 horsepower with only less than a ton for weight. Driver included puts you right there. So they're just fun little back road cars that.
Yeah. And so Lotus initially sold over 10,000 of the Series 1 between the years of 1996 and 2000. But the original never, ever got here. So that Series 1, because of the way it was light, built on aluminum chassis, everything crumpled. It was not something that you would imagine passing our safety standards and our crash tests. It just never came. So you can now import, well, coming into 2021, we'll be able to import the Series 1.
They look good too. I think they held up with time.
I think it looks
for a Lotus.
I think it looks a bit subdued in terms of like, but I like the Azige. I like that crazy boy racer Lotus because honestly, that's what most people did with them. So to have it not be that way initially was maybe they were just trying to go for the broader market. I don't know.
10,000 of them.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. I didn't know that Haggard or that Lotus sold that many.
Yeah.
So the next one, I didn't even know this car existed.
I didn't either, and then I saw it and I was like, I like this. I feel like I like this more than the Lotus.
I agree. So this is a Renault or Renault, however you want to pronounce it. It's Renault. Everybody says Renault. Sport Spider.
Yeah, so this is a two-door, kind of like a hard top. I don't believe they came with a roof, if I was reading that correctly.
I highly doubt it did because it's got a roll bar that sticks way up
does.
above the roof.
So it had an aluminum chassis, plastic composite body, a roll bar, and that's about it. Yeah, so it didn't have a roof on it. So there, again, it's similar to what the Elise would have been, just only from Renault. And just a lightweight, 2,050 pounds car, 148 horsepower. So not something that's going to be blowing the doors off of anybody from red light to red light, but something you're going to be able to take out to, let's say, Hocking Hills and doing like a spirited drive,
right?
Or taking a long way home from work.
Interesting note about the Renault Sport Coupe or the Spider rather is that you had to pay extra for the windscreen.
Yeah. It didn't come with one.
It didn't come with a windscreen. So as they said, if you want to keep bugs out of your face and out of your teeth, your pearly whites, you had to buy an extra windscreen.
Or wear a helmet.
You could wear a helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just look like a Power Ranger when you're running around with a helmet in a car.
I think it'd be pretty cool. Kids would love you.
I mean, but we also rode motorcycles, so I didn't mind the helmeted look, right?
Right.
So it looks like about 1,800 of these were actually made. So this is going to be a pretty rare car, probably a little bit more expensive. But I mean, honestly, if you guys go to Hagerty.com/media, we'll post this. Wow, I'm saying a lot. We will post this website and this article into our Facebook page so everyone can go enjoy it and actually get a much better look at these cars. But this Renault Sport Spider is like Renault has a long history of building track-oriented cars that are just bonkers, that get rid of a lot of the amenities of like air conditioning.
Yeah, they're
thick
specific
safeties.
for it.
They're very specific.
Limit the weight. I mean, this thing was only a little over 2,000 pounds. So you
Yeah.
take a lot of the fluff out that we don't need and just make it a
Yeah, I mean,
driving specific car, in which it is.
and here's the thought. I mean, even though it only had 148 horsepower, this car was propelled to 60 in under 6 seconds, which for a 1996 car, that's pretty
fast.
dang fast. That's
Yeah.
really, really fast. That's a I will say quick car.
I mean, it keeps up with a lot of modern day kind of like hot hatches and things. Too,
Absolutely. And
around that,
I bet it would be one heck of a track beast, honestly.
it would depending on the track. I mean, definitely is short.
Mid Ohio.
Yeah, it would be a lot of. I mean, autocrossing I think would be fun to do with as well. Just anything tight and technical.
Excellent. The next one on the list is a bit of a heavy boy, bit of a heavyweight. And, when you were talking about importing cars, this is the Mac Daddy for me.
Everybody's radar.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the R33 Nissan Skyline GTR. They specifically talk about the car, the GTR LM Limited.
Yeah.
So the LM, just so everybody knows, stands for Le Mans, and they basically created this version of the Skyline GTR to celebrate the victory. They were trying to build a car, and obviously when you start building these cars, you think you're going to win, and so you're trying to help celebrate it. But what ended up happening is when the Skyline went to Le Mans, it never won. At least on the R33 platform, it didn't win.
Right.
But the GTR LM celebrates their presence, the being
We
at
made it.
Le Mans. Yeah, basically like, hey, we took a race car there, we raced it. So even though a lot of people are waiting for the R34, I personally
We have 2
love
years.
the R33. I think it is by far my favorite Skyline. But this limited edition LM was only around for one of the years of 1996. And because the car really wasn't known as a winner, only like they didn't produce many and they didn't sell many. Only 188 of these GTR LMs were ever produced. So if you see one available for import, buy it, because that car is going to be worth some
It's gonna be valuable.
casheroony.
for
It's
sure.
gonna, but I mean, the R33 has just a phenomenal chassis. And a lot of people complain that it got bigger and heavier than the original R32, but not only did it get a slight boost in power, it also got a much better all-wheel drive system. I mean, it was a variant of the standard all-wheel drive system. Added all-wheel steering, just like the other one, but it increased its width as well as its length. So it gained a bit of composure in the high speeds, and it definitely was a faster car than the R32. A lot of people don't believe it, but it definitely was.
It's a good car.
Next, what do we got?
Tatra 700.
I've never heard of this company,
I
but
didn't either. It's a chess company, mostly paid. It's
what'd you
made-
say?
It's a chess
Czech.
Czech.
Czech. It's Czech. It's a Czech company. Chez.
Can we start that? Can we start that one over?
We can't. Czech. It's Czech. It's a Czech
Whatever.
company.
They put the Z in
It's
it.
kind of like how the British spelled Czech. I didn't know this until recently, and
That's
it
how
blew
they
my
spell Czech?
freaking mind.
Why
No,
do they have to put a Z in there?
Chauqu. It's like the Canadians say Czech.
See, this is why we should just do a random, just live feed, just us getting together and talking. This
Pro-
is informative stuff. People are going to
People
come out
would
of
probably prefer that for
Yeah.
sure. All right, so we'll start again. Brief pause. All right, Mike, what's the next one?
Here. The next one is a Tatra 700.
So this one is a Czech company. So we don't know
Yeah.
much about it.
Just because they didn't make a lot of cars, they mostly made
Didn't
their
make a
money.
big splash either. Like it didn't make a splash in the auto industry.
No, it didn't. Well, a lot of it they were selling heavy trucks, so they were mostly doing that. But they did decide to make cars for a little while. So this one has a V8 and it's a roomy interior, so it looks like a big old, just a full size car, and it kind of resembles that now. Outside of that, I mean, it's
Kind of
neat.
looks like a Saab to me.
I saw that too a little bit. The trunk looks a little bit different, but outside of that, the body line.
Honestly, I just looked at the trunk. The picture is of the rear 3/4, and the roof line in the front remind me of like a Saab 900, but the rear reminds me like the trunk deck lid reminds me of like a Cadillac Eldorado of the same year.
It's got a lot of the hard lines. Like if I were to draw a car, or ask my son to draw a car, he would more or less imitate this type of car.
It's
But
that little line right there by
yeah,
the logo that
it's
does like that reminds me of the Cadillac so much.
oh, it does. It looks like one. It looked like one.
But it is a massive rear-mounted air-cooled V8.
Yeah, not many of them.
Rear-mounted. Like that's crazy.
That's probably why the trunk looks a little weird.
Probably.
Yeah, and they came with a 5-speed manual too.
That's it's just a car that I don't think I've ever seen. I didn't know anything about. And so when this list came about, I was like, it's just a weird car. I'm not going to even touch it. But the more I look at it and the more I read about it and the more I hear about it, it's pretty crazy. So according to Haggerty, unfortunately, the T700 wasn't much of a hit. Many Czech buyers, now free to buy Western cars at the time, preferred something like a Mercedes or a BMW.
I don't blame them.
Tatra built fewer than 100 T700s, and in 1999, the company ended car production after a 102-year run.
If I got this, I would probably have to call it the Terminator. Oh, it's a T1000. Like this is a few short of the Terminator.
This is what they got before the T1000.
We got the T700s.
It's just a car.
I feel like if I saw this on the road, I wouldn't really I don't think I would turn my head, but seeing it at a car show or something and getting up close, like the engine's in the rear, like that's pretty neat. Oh, it's a 5-speed.
Well, like you said, the car literally looks like the image of a car in your brain. So
Yeah.
if you are just trying to if you just close your eyes for a second. We're going to do a little thought experiment.
My eyes are closed.
Okay, now draw a car.
Um,
Now make it more car-like.
all right. So.
Now make it squarer.
Okay.
Now we're going to make sure the engine's in the back.
Oh, that's weird. All right.
You got it? You got that picture?
Yep, it's up there in the air.
Okay, now I want you to look at this. Yeah,
That's exactly
the
the same.
visual people, the people on Facebook Live are going to see this. But I mean, that's the car. It's just straight roof, kind of a front straight edge,
Boxy.
and then boxy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was built in the 90s, so boxy. Boxy was big.
Contrary to Boxy, this next one is very. I like it. Honestly, I do. And that's the Toyota Classic.
If you've ever seen like one of the taxis out of Europe, out of the UK, like that's what this reminds me of, mixed with like an old school Duesenberg. So in 1996, Toyota had a big birthday to celebrate. And what it did is it had a 60th. It basically was. It had been 60 years since the company built its very first automobile. They called that very first automobile the AA. And according to Toyota, as the Haggerty article reads, it was also the first all-Japanese-built passenger car. While not a groundbreaking design, the engine was copied by a copy from the Chevrolet of the same year of the DeSoto. It was still a big milestone for what would become the world's largest car maker. So this, according to them, was their very first all-Japanese-built car, like we said. Given that this was the 90s and Japanese at the time apparently were loving the retro style, they made this car look that retro-esque style. I'm doing air quotes with my fingers for those who are listening. It was a modern take on a car that started all of Toyota. So Toyota just sold 100 examples. And
All in two-tone black.
Yep. It was much like the Ford Model T when Ford was like, they can have any color they want, except it's got to be black. So it had, they basically decked this thing out. So it was two-tone black and dark red with a wood rim steering wheel, wood trim on the inside, wood grain dashboard, leather seats, and although it looks like a car from the 1930s, the Toyota Classic is still all Toyota.
And it's something that's not fast. It's probably going to be a little difficult to drive to for what it looks like.
You know what's weird?
But it's unique, and I like it. I would want one.
It's funny. The more I stare at it, the more it screams Chrysler PT Cruiser.
Oh, you just ruined it for me. It does look like a PT Cruiser, just with like a bigger windscreen.
Like if I'm looking,
you could get a PT Cruiser. If you put a PT Cruiser with that paint scheme, like on the panels and stuff, it would look like this. Oh,
like
man.
as I'm looking at it from the A pillar, B pillar, C pillar up, like above the doors and just the windows and the glass, I could totally just see that's PT Cruiser. And then I look down, and all of a sudden I see these headlights that are popping out like an old school '30s car, a big '30s grill that almost looks like a Citroen grill. But yeah, that's.
You ruined it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I liked it. Now I'm like, PT Cruiser. But I mean, I can drive around PT Cruiser bruisers.
But you know that I think this apparently, if they only made 100 of
them.
these, it's going to be a super rare car, and for any collector who adds it to
is.
their collection, even though it has some PT Cruiser esque lines to it,
style.
it is definitely still a very classy and very. I think it looks way better than a PT Cruiser. I thought this car was like just had like died in the 1930s and hadn't aged any. Right, like it was a Steve Rogers, a Captain America of the Japanese car, where it got frozen into ice and then was thawed out, 30 years later, 60 years
Strapping a
later.
V8 in it.
So this next car, I think, so this one's from the UK, and I definitely think this is going to be focused more towards our enthusiasts. However, it does have, as was pointed out by Jeremy Clarkson, it does have 4 seats.
Yeah, they're if you chop the legs off the person in the back, you probably get him to fit. But it's the TVR. I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'm gonna leave that to Matt.
It's a TVR Cerbera,
Cerbera.
like Cerberus,
Yes.
but Cerbera.
So it's named for Cerberus. That's actually what it was. The 3-headed dog that guards the underworld in Greek mythology. So you were correct. It was named after the 3-headed dog.
Whoop.
So it was TVR's flagship model during some of the company's best years. So Autocar called it one of the fastest, hardest production cars ever made. And I was listening to a Jeremy Clarkson one as well, a review on it, and he absolutely loved it. And he said that was one of the cars that actually scared him to death whenever he got on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Now this, we were talking, and it looks very much like our '90s Viper, and
the rear end definitely.
the rear end, and it's got like this scallop side panel. And I don't recall if it was actually done so, but like I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I believe that it came from the Viper chassis.
So it did have a drivetrain wise. It did have a V8 flat crank, forged pistons and rods. It ranged from a 4.2 to 4.5 liters and 360 to 440 pounds, plus a 2+2 coupe. So
With those 4 seats.
Yeah, if you put the seats in there, you're not really going to fit
Seats.
somebody. Correct.
Air
So
quotes.
there was a lot of similarities to the Viper GTS for its time. The TVR also sold few Carabellas with a 4.0 liter speed 6 straight 6, which is
Cerberus.
I-
TVR. Cerberus. It's all
I
right.
told you I wasn't.
It's a
gonna get
tough
it
one.
right.
Cerebellums. Is that what you said?
Cerebellums. I might have. I was thinking about it.
You were just thinking how
Dula
big
Mama.
brained you got to be to buy this
Yeah.
car. So yeah, and the crazy thing was, even though it had 440 horsepower, it still weighed about 800 pounds less than the Viper GTS that it kind of shared its look with. So it's a beautiful car, and I mean, if you think of a TVR, like other than the CBR, like the TVR Speed 12, which in my mind is like every time I think of TVR, that's what I think of. Thanks to Gran Turismo and Forza for introducing me to that beast of a car. But this looks like its little brother. Like it's got lines, it's got everything.
It looks like a TVR.
Yeah, it looks like a fantastic TVR that everybody, if you rode up to this, they'd be like, oh, dang, that's a TVR. Like, it just screams it. And it's fiberglass, it's light, it's powerful, and it makes an awesomely mean sound. So it's really, really good.
Unfortunately, though, is the engines were not the most reliable, and even changing the alternator required pulling the engine out. So if you wanted to do a quick change, something went wrong with it, you would have to remove the engine to get to something similar. And a lot of them had rust issues too, so that was kind of a concern. So importing one of these would be a little risky in the idea of you don't know what you're going to get from a drivetrain point, and there's also the possibility of rust. And with that, rust is like a cancer.
And it is. Once it starts, it's probably in a bunch of other places too.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to say it's the same thing, but when it comes to body of cars and chassis and things like that, once you find it, you're going down a path of trying to find it elsewhere. So yeah, we're not trying to say anything about cancer. So cancer sucks. Just
does.
FYI. So yeah, with anything with TVR, build quality was kind of an issue. It was all over the place, so be mindful of that. But yeah, very rare. It'll be a very rare car over here in the United States. So if you got one, you'll probably be the only one in your state. The next one I actually think is pretty darn cool, and I've been
like
looking
it.
at these for a while. Nissan came out with around the same time as the GTR a wagon. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love a fast wagon. So this one is the Nissan Stagia. Stagia.
I feel like we should just be able to import every wagon. We are very limited on them. And
We
they
are very
really
limited.
cool.
I mean, BMW had a couple. We had the Audi Allroad. We had the Volvos, which have been here the whole time. We've got the Mercedes. I'm just super stoked that that we're now bringing in the brand new 2021 Audi RS6 Avant. That is awesome. If you've got the cash and you got the ability, go buy yourself an Audi A6 Avant. It's the wagon, just beast, 590 horsepower. It's great. But that's not what we're talking about.
Thankfully, we had one of these cars to help pave the way for that.
Seriously, I mean, not many people in the United States know about this car. I think a lot more of the southern hemisphere people might know about this car. But in 1996, they brought this wagon out that utilized the drivetrain of the legendary R33.
So a lot of the parts are interchangeable, so you could actually make this thing relatively good just based off of the old R33 parts.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. So this had the RB straight six from the R33. So that's a 2.0 liter twin turbocharged. Went all the way up to when they bored it out to the R33 standard. It was a 2.6 RB26 DETT from the GTR, which was their hottest version. It's got hood scoops and everything, dude. It looks awesome. And this is going to be the craziest thing. This wagon also came with the GTR's all-wheel drive and all-wheel steering system, the ATT ESA or Atessa E-TS all-wheel drive system.
Along with other handling parts, they had Brembo brakes, BBS forged alloy wheels, handling upgrades, a GTR steering wheel, and other interior improvements on top of the base model.
Here's the thing: if I didn't like the way that the R33 if I didn't like the way the R33 looked, rather, I think this car, if you import one, will be the sleeper of your neighborhood.
Oh, it would be fantastic.
I mean, you could definitely build that RB26 motor up and just haul some
groceries.
Groceries.
Yes.
Groceries.
Haul some groceries.
But seriously, like it is a sleeper. It looks like an older Nissan wagon, but you could punch out like 400 to 500 horsepower out of that motor easy, and just wreck some people. So, but it obviously then came with the benefit of being a wagon. So you could also put your dogs and all the lumber and stuff that you wanted into it. So, it's funny because you initially said a lot of people think about importing things JDM.
Yeah.
We've talked about quite a few JDMs already.
Yeah, we have, but there were some of the ones on there that aren't very common. And I think that's where
Speaking of JDM, we got another JDM.
Yeah,
Beast of a car.
Last one on our list, number 8. Mitsubishi Lancer.
It is the last one on the list, but we definitely have some more comments to add to this list.
We do. Well, yeah, then this list. So the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution IV.
God, that was loud as hell. I was trying to do that quiet.
Yeah, so this is the 6, right?
Yeah, no, this is the 4.
4. So it's 1 minus the number. I hate Roman numerals.
Yeah, this is a Roman numeral 1 to V.
So minus then is 4.
It's this way.
Whatever.
For our visual listeners. But yeah, so it's a Lancer Evolution 4. So we never got any of the Lancers, I think, before 9? No, 8. 8 was the first one we got.
Yeah. So we were very limited on these. I mean, all the Lancer Evolutions, I thought they were all great cars from the get-go. They look cool. They've had a great engine, and then you have that Rally Sport. I can't think of it. The Rally Sport.
Hold on, we're gonna redo that because, of course, my
timer went off.
Yeah. Hold on. All of our visual listeners will have to bear with me disappearing. Mike, entertain them for a minute.
Oh, I gotta entertain you guys? I don't even see what's happening over there. How many listeners do we have, Matt? Can you see that before?
I don't know how to see that, but I do know that Derek Robert is Dr. Budendorf is listening and watching, and he asks, maybe you can answer this in your opinion. He says, "What's better, an upgraded Honda or a standard Acura?"
Oh man, that depends on what you're going for. Upgraded Honda is not a bad choice if you're looking for something a little bit more powerful. Honda is if you don't want to do anything with it. and you just enjoy the comforts and the creatures. I mean, you're gonna have more options and more, yeah, just comfort. I cannot talk all of a sudden. Comfort creatures, so like air conditioning, like auto cruise or not auto cruise control, but just your standard features. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Personally, I don't like a lot of the upgrades, so I would probably go for the Honda over the and upgrade it. I think I answered his question, Matt, but I think I also butchered it. So I could not speak. I failed you.
Well, that's okay because we don't have to put that in the podcast. We can do a small segment, the offshoot,
Yeah.
car talk with Mike and Matt.
You're naming yourself after me?
Yes, my middle name. No, I actually disagree with you, Mike, and which is it's
Well,
weird.
I know
weird.
you were going to go for the Acura because you always like. I mean, that's why you have an Audi.
Well, I like luxury stuff, and I
Yeah.
think for.
I don't. I'm more of a basic, simplistic man.
But here's the thing: when you start upgrading stuff, like it depends on what you're going for, right?
Right,
If you
that's what I
like
said.
to wrench on things and you like to deal with the consequences of modifying, God, I'm out of breath, just running around, disengaging timers. Is if you are okay with doing all the modifications yourself, sure, a modified Honda would be great. But Acura is coming up with some pretty crazy cool models.
We talked about a
Including,
few
we
of
did
them.
talk to about one like the Acura TLX Type S is coming out.
Yeah.
355 horsepower, 355 foot-pounds of torque, all-wheel drive. That thing's going to be a missile.
So yeah, I think it's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for something to get to point A to point B and you don't really care about a lot of the features with it, I don't think the Honda's going to be a bad way to go. But I mean, upgrading it, I guess that's what are you looking to upgrade in it?
Derek, buy an Audi RS6 wagon Avant.
Yes.
That's what you need.
Or no, the
590 horsepower, 590 foot-pounds of torque out of a twin-turbo V8 with all-wheel drive. Are you kidding me? It'd be great. So I hope that answered your question, buddy. Hope you're still listening. Back to the podcast. So yeah, I think the Lancer 4, like as much as everybody, loves the Lancer 8, at least here in the United States, is that the Lancer 4 and moving onwards really had to prove itself in the world of rally.
They all had to prove themselves in the world of rally.
Yeah, but like eventually it got to the point where the Lancers were just known for being good cars, right? And they were producing well, but like they really truly had to prove themselves. And so 1997 WRC driver won the title in an Evo 4. So like they won the WRC manufacturer's title. And that's just Colin McRae did it. So it's just, or I'm sorry, they beat Colin McRae in his Subaru. So everybody thinks of Subaru when it comes to rallying, but the Evo 4 actually whooped their butt when it comes to rallying. So it was, I think, one of the best that proved itself in the world of rallying. And then from that racing, it just kind of bled into everybody knowing that car as the beast that it is, the all-wheel drive beast, and then the racing champion that it was.
I always like the evolutions. I mean, it's going to be a pun, but I always like looking at the evolution of the evolutions.
God, that was
I know it was going to be
that was so bad.
Right.
That was so
no,
bad.
but I mean, I do like listening to like how they've improved in every single one over term of like, oh, we got like yaw control. Oh, we're going to boost the horsepower. Oh, our suspension's changing, and this is how much better it's going to be just because of like these small little tweaks that add up to be something big. And like, hey, we're going to do this with our power, and how much they've gone and how much year over year they've improved. And I always thought that was like great. And then, you get up to the 8s, the 9s, and so forth. Now, I mean, these are the ones that we're able to have, and I absolutely adore those ones. But over the times, it's really cool just to see how that all accumulated to what it is.
I do think, I mean, I like some of the earlier Lancers. I like some of the design language, including like the big, massive fog lamps that they had. But I do think in terms, and maybe
Rally-inspired.
it's, rally-inspired stuff. But I think because of having access to the 8, like I'm just not as keen on
But I think it's
importing one.
because when we got the Evos, that's what we were like, hey, here's the 8. And then it's like, well, these are all the other
what-
ones that we've
what
had.
happened to- so
but
if
they're
you're-
not as good because they're built over on top of each other. So it's just like, well, if I go down a year, then I'm going to be losing this. And if I go down another year, I'm gonna be
If
losing
you
something
are a
else.
Lancer Evolution collector, you just got to.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got to import it
Yeah,
now and
they're
get up
great
to
cars.
the 8, so you can get the 8, 9, and 10. Have the final.
The
so
thing with these is what only 9,000 of those were made, so
Yeah.
it's finding a good one that hasn't been beat to.
with any of these cars, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Well,
we
I
have
feel
to
like this
talk
one
about
specifically.
any of the JDMs. We really have to talk about specifically because Japan is an island nation and it is surrounded by salt water. Well, people go, oh, well, it's in, you don't get a lot of salts on the road. It's like, no, but it lives,
air.
it's permeated by salt in the air. So you need to definitely try to find one of these in, good condition and be very careful of the frame rust and things like that. But I do think that this list is missing some things. As always, Mike and I have opinions.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely want to bring
My middle name is
attention
Opinion.
to a couple. Mike and I agree on one of them. We're going to add 3 more to this list that I believe we should add.
Which one do we agree on?
We'll talk about it.
I was segueing you into it.
Well, I don't want to talk about that one first.
Oh, whatever.
First, we're going to talk about the Mercedes-Benz Fun Mog.
It's great. So it just looks so cool.
So this is, for any of you who don't know, Mercedes-Benz made the Unimog. It is a military vehicle designed to go anywhere and do
anything.
Through anything, yeah. And so they created the Fun Mog.
Which is a more toned down version of it. It still has a lot of the stylistic approaches. I believe this is like a 2-door, kind of like a short bed truck that's lifted up. That's the best idea I can give to you without showing you a picture.
Imagine the truckiest truck you've ever trucked. And that is what a Unimog looks like.
It's not lifted.
Yeah,
completely.
just not lifted.
Yeah.
These things are lifted on portal axles. So what a portal axle does is it allows for the drive angle to go into higher on that wheel. So as normally you would expect an axle goes into the center of a wheel so the wheel can spin around the axle. A portal axle elevates that point that the axle enters basically the wheel, so to speak, by a couple of inches. And what that effectively does is raises the vehicle up. And so it can have the higher ground clearance, but have the rotating center still low. So every time you see a guy with a lifted truck and the drive shafts are coming down at an angle, this allows those drive shafts to be straight, which prevents wear, is a much more reliable system, and it's
Easier
more
maintenance.
robust. Yep.
So they're definitely cool. I would love to have one if I could. There's so many of these cars that I would love to have.
Dude, I've seen some of these Unimogs out there that are just awesome. Not the Fun Mog. The Fun Mog was designed to kind of rival the Hummer in terms of the civilian market. Like when Arnold Schwarzenegger brought over a military Humvee and said, "This is my Humvee Hummer." This is the same line. It's like a very nice, well-appointed cabin that is also very barren. Like it is very utilitarian, very
To the
militaristic. On point, it's on point with the model. They just wrapped the seats in leather, added air conditioning, and some chrome bits.
I would love to call my insurance agent and be like, "Oh, what are you adding to the policy? A Fun Mog."
A Fun Mog. It's not
No.
a humdrum mog.
No, it's a Fun Mog.
Fun Mog.
Just the name of it, I'd like. I mean, everything about it, I think.
Well, some of the
cool.
some of the old military Unimogs came with the shoot. I'm drawing a blank now. Mind blown. Some of the Unimogs, the military ones, came with a bucket, like a excavator bucket.
Yeah.
And they had a big arm, and they could be used as a crane. They were the
Trench
quintessential, trench digger, a quintessential utilitarian vehicle with everything.
Yeah.
So much so that the center console allowed the steering and pedals to move from one side to the other. To
Driver's
go from
ed instructors would love that.
yeah, to go from right-hand drive to left-hand drive in those countries that allow
crazy.
either or. So very, very cool vehicle. Next is the one that I believe we agree on. We might agree on this entire list. I think they're all pretty good, but I think when you came to me and were like, "This list sucks because it
I
doesn't
didn't
have
say it
something."
sucked. I would
No,
just
you
say-
did.
I said every list that you can import cars should have the RX-7 listed on it.
Absolutely. So we are talking about the
The
RX-7.
Mazda.
The Mazda. Now, here's what everybody will say. It's like, well, we got the Mazda, so why would you import it? Import more. Bring them all.
They're
We want more.
fantastic.
They're fantastic. So yeah, but not only that, you could have a right-hand drive Mazda RX-7 FD, like the quintessential best Mazda is best boy is
Yeah.
best Mazda is the RX-7 FD.
Get the twin turbo version. Which
Get that
weren't-
initial D.
They weren't very.
Shout out to all
common.
my anime fans.
Yeah, the high end models with the twin turbos, they weren't as common, I don't believe, in the States as much
No.
as they were over there. So there's a lot more. There's a larger plethora of these sitting over there, and I've checked them out a lot. There's some very nice conditioned cars.
Well, the RX-7, much like the Mark IV Supra, left production, or at least United States production,
You
with
air
air
quoted
quotes.
again.
I did. I will tell them when I air quote.
You did it, and then
Maybe
you
I
paused
should
for a
talk out
minute.
of my mouth. Is that they stopped production here, I believe, in 2001, but they continued on in production to, I think, 2005.
I don't know why you're looking at me for that. I'm not bad with dates.
Well, I know the Mark IV Supra was produced in Japan far longer than it was here, offered here in the United States. So you can get actually like a newer Supra than you can like in from Japan than you could here
Yeah.
due to safety standards and things like that. And I think the RX-7 was the same way. I'm going to die on that hill. Hopefully,
all
hopefully I don't die, but I'm
Where's the
gonna
hill?
I'm gonna stick my flag in that mud.
But I mean, either way, and like RX-7s, I feel like they're timeless cars too, with just their design and their look, and they look good now still, even being 25 years plus old.
Yeah, and hopefully you can pick up like an unmolested version of like any of these cars. Like I would highly recommend trying to stick with a non-tuned, non-modified version of these cars. Yeah, parts are going to be hard to find, but at the same time, like
Yeah.
it's just going to be more collectible. And when we're talking about like Haggerty and collecting, like they tend to focus on those collectible vehicles. Now, people put a ton of money in these things, man. Like I've seen some of those Stagias, the Nissan wagons, just go for ungodly amounts of money because people just built the heck out of those RB26s. Likewise, RX-7s and R33s. But I think one that definitely does stay stock, and most people didn't touch them other than maybe like a tune or something like that, is our next vehicle that I think needs to be on this list, and it's a 1994 Audi RS2 wagon. So this car wagon rather, was Audi's very, very first, and I attest to that, very, very first RS fast wagon. So this one was actually co-developed with Porsche too.
Yeah, I saw that. And they look mundane. That would be one of those. It
I mean,
doesn't
it's a
look like
sleeper.
fast.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely a sleeper.
Yeah. I mean, I think most wagons are. They'd be pretty quick. Do you know the 0 to 60 time offhand? I know they're.
I think with this one, they were pushing 0 to 60 times in the 5s.
It's pretty quick for the time.
Yeah. I mean, for a 1994 car, all-wheel drive, just like all Audis. Well, not all, but most Audis, Quattro system. But it had a lot of tuning and a lot of building with Porsche. So, like the wheels and the wing mirrors were all Porsche 911.
All right, so here we go. So 315 horsepower, 302 pound-foot of torque from a 2.2 liter 5-pot.
Oh, yeah, 5-cylinder.
So 5 cylinders.
Did I
so
not
that's
say
unique.
that?
No, I don't believe you did. 0 to 62 was 5.4 seconds.
Yeah, mid
Top
fives.
speed of 160. So pretty quick still to its time.
I mean, for crying out loud, my A6 does that 0 to 60 time. Actually, that's faster than my
Well,
A6.
this is probably less weight than your A6.
Oh, definitely.
But I guess this doesn't really move the needle for me a lot. I'm not a big Audi fan, partially why it doesn't really do a lot for me. I respect for what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
to me, that is a fast wagon. That is the genesis of fast wagons.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will say, "Well, yeah, Mercedes Benz and BMW came out with." They came out later. This is like the very first performance wagon that
Started the trend.
yeah, and a turbo 5-cylinder is like a micro 10-cylinder. It's like a micro V10. It sounds fantastic if you
Yeah.
like the V10 warble.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a nice car. I wouldn't personally be looking. There's other ones that would be above my list for this one.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
I'm trying to disagree with you politely.
I know you are. You're trying to be polite about it, but
I am.
won't let you. You got to be a little bit more blunt.
Oh, whatever.
But I mean, honestly, off this list, I think the R33 is my fave.
The R33 is like the classic. Are we sticking to just the 8?
So I'll let you do. Let's stick with from the list of 8 that we do, because obviously I know that the
Oh.
Fun Mog or the RX-7 would be your
Oh
choice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would get a Fun Mog with an RX-7 in the back. That's one car imported, right? Save on taxes and fees coming over. Say the list of 8. I like the Mitsubishi Lancer just because I like Evos. However, the Renault Sport Spider I think would be the one that I would like. That's the uniqueness for it and just what it is. Like it's not the fastest, but it almost like a go kart more or less because I had to buy the windshield.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a weird and wacky and crazy car that not everyone has seen and not everybody has scoured the internet looking
Going for a head turner.
yeah, a head turner, that Renault Sport is just a fantastic car. Like it looks the part, it looks amazing. I mean, I'd love to get a Renault Clio, the one with the mid-engine Clio.
Oh, yeah,
man,
yeah.
dude, I'd love to get one of those soon. Soon.
One other cars that I would just like to throw in here too is K cars. I like K cars. They're just so small and unique. I think they're neat.
What?
Anyways, K cars,
You're not talking about the like GMK car, right?
no, there's the Mazda one, the little guy.
Oh, like the Honda Beat and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
yeah,
think they're
I gotcha.
they're neat.
Like the cappuccino,
Yeah.
dude. The cappuccinos, yeah. If you've never seen what is Suzuki cappuccino, go check that out. It makes a Miata look big.
Go look at K cars. They're neat.
Yeah. There's not really a good transition to this, but
No.
there's somebody really, really interested in picking up a very high-end brand.
I think it's a little bit of a mutual part.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about Bugatti, and there's a company out there in Europe who is looking. And when I say looking, because I can't find anywhere whether or not there has been an actual purchase or there's been an actual transfer of ownership. But Rimac, the EV company, makers of the Rimac One, are looking to purchase about 15.5% ownership of Bugatti away from VW, specifically through VW's Porsche side.
And I think part of this too is VW restructuring and their take on supercars outside of Porsche. They are looking more to move around a little bit. And I know their old CEO was big onto the supercars, and that's
Right.
why Bugatti was like, "Hey, we're keeping Bugatti. It's Bugatti. It's awesome. We're going to continue to do that." I think from a more of a business side, how much they're looking at getting and how much of it is actually going to help with them. So I think it's a little bit of a mutual. There hasn't been, I don't believe, anything concrete on it, but there are some beneficials for either party. So I think that's where discussion's coming in at.
Right. And so as this article comes again from Hagerty.com/media. And the article says, despite having only manufactured a tiny number of cars, Rimac is seen as Europe's answer to Tesla, a real innovator in the EV, standard for electric vehicle world. With most and a host of unique technologies such as AI driver coach and power inverters, alongside Porsche, Rimac can count Jaguar
Jaguar.
as we say it, Jaguar, Hyundai, Koenigsegg, and Magna as current investors into their own avenue. So
They're looking to expand and get into more of the market and bring out their EVs.
yeah, and it said that the company Rimac is valued at $650 million.
So this purchase of Bugatti or the shared parts of it would be huge in multiple areas. Getting the name out there and being able to put their technology into a Bugatti to make it, hey, we got a Bugatti with our technology, our engines and batteries, etc., whatever they're going to do with that technology for it. You know, just getting that up there.
I mean, the
their name
Rimac
out.
One looks. I think to
I
me
like
the
it.
Rimac One looks better than the Bugatti Veyron, and I would. It's close to looking better than the Chiron. I do think that it's kind of like if you look at Rimac, if you've never seen one of them, it's kind of like an amalgamation of like Koenigsegg and Bugatti, like in these nice lines, performance oriented, but they're fantastic cars. So
Look beautiful.
Volkswagen is reportedly keen to offload Bugatti, despite it being the former boss's Ferdinand Piëch and his passion product. But Rimac visited Bugatti in July, fueling more and more of these rumors. So
See where that goes, but it could be a change of hands and see what happens to Bugatti in 10 years.
yeah, and if you guys want to see more about the Rimac and the Rimac One concept and all that, is go watch the Grand Tour. I forget what episode it is, but Richard Hammond and the crew went out and they were driving one, and he actually wrecked
Was that
one.
like season 2, episode 1? Because he wrecked it in the first, and then they're like, "Oh, we lost him for the show. He's dead." Wasn't that what
I
it
can't
was?
remember. I honestly can't remember what episode,
Yeah.
but it was. I think it was like the season 1 finale that they did this like cross country tour and like performance cars and
They're doing
hypercars.
it was an uphill race.
Yeah, it was an
wrecked it.
uphill
Yeah.
race that Rich like it just looked weird. Like it looked like Richard Hammond did a fantastic job, and the next thing you know, the thing just goes hurling off
Over the hill.
a cliff, which according to Richard Hammond was not anything against the car, it was his own driving. And the problem with like dealing with an EV car is you're not hearing the engine and everything
Yeah.
running, so he didn't know how fast he really truly was going. So that's interesting rumors coming out of Germany and Europe. So we'll be interested to see how that plays out and if it does, in fact, play out. So that brings us to our final segment of the day, guys. That is going to be our interview with John Doonan, president of IMSA. So we're going to go right to Mid-Ohio and do a live interview with him. Well, not live, but it was live. It's in the past. We did it in the past. We're going to just input it in right here. So we'll be right back after this. Oh, wow. I can't believe John said all that crazy stuff. No, he didn't say any of that
It was
stuff.
a good
I'm just
interview,
kidding.
honestly.
Yeah,
I like the background.
I do apologize. I'll have to go back in digitally and format all the audio. But yeah, we were at Mid-Ohio, and we were literally right by pit lane on the pit lane straight. And during our interview, it was the Porsche race. So very loud, uncorked Porsche flat sixes going by, just constantly screaming. So I do apologize for the audio. We'll make sure that we work it and try to make it good. But yeah, thank you very much to IMSA and their hospitality. Thank you very much to John Doonan for his time. It was a fantastic opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and I'm just honestly thrilled that they allowed us to do that. But we were out at Mid-Ohio for Haggerty, supporting IMSA, who is one of our partners, and just saying thanks for continuing the sport, even though COVID's been a bit.
It's been a COVID.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. As for everyone, for everyone looking in on 2019, going 2019 stank. Looking to 2020 is like hopeful. I was one of those people. It's just like, ugh, just can't get any better.
Every year's a good year.
So hopefully 2021 brings some good news and some betterment for sure. But guys, that's been our show. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We talked about some crazy cars. I can't wait, personally, to import an R33 GTR LM. If I can get my hands on one, I totally would. So if you know of anybody out there who's got one in good condition, not like a 200,000-mile one, but like good, let me know, because I'd absolutely love to import one. I think that'd be fantastic. Plus, it's got 4 seats. I can fit my kid in it. I can take everybody. Plus, it'll turn heads.
Yeah, if you keep thinking that, I don't know.
I'm going to, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. It's all about that. Like visualize. You got to visualize your goals and go for it. So, but thanks so much for joining us, guys. I know we talked about a bunch of cars. We talked about the 8 crazy cars that you can now import coming in 2021. We talked about some of the rumors coming out of Europe where Bugatti may be purchased from Volkswagen by Rimac, and then we had our great interview with John Doonan. So, Mike, what did you think of that one, man?
I liked it. I liked the live stream too. Hopefully, if you guys are listening to this, feel free to like our Facebook page and catch us for a live stream too. I think it adds a little bit more of a dimension to get behind some of the scenes too. It makes it a little bit more fun for us and hopefully for you guys.
Yeah, you guys get to see how crazy we look for sure. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep driving. I wasn't half bad. We're going to have to do some editing for sure. But
Yeah,
I am, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thanks for making me do this.
Hey, yeah, I thought it was good. I think you were a little excited to start it off with, but
I was. I mean, we're doing a live stream. We're doing so much new stuff. Like, I just don't know what we're doing. Like, I feel like the wacky wailing inflatable arm tube man guy.
I think it was more fun. I felt more engaged doing the live stream part of it.
It definitely tried to keep me more in line. Like, just for you viewers out there in live stream world, we normally we'll record something and be like, that stank, and do it again, and then stop and re-stuff. We did it a couple times here, but I think this really helps fuel the passion of getting it right on that first take. And we've been working on like run of shows and trying to get this stuff to
We're trying to
flow
get
off the
better.
tongue. We are. We're trying to
Yeah.
improve for you guys.
Hopefully, we've been getting better. I don't know. I
To
think so.
answer, I don't know if Derek's still there, but Derek, we are on Spotify. We're on a ton of different places. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio.
Play us every time you have a new patient.
Yeah, yeah. Play us in your office,
Yes.
Derek. We'd absolutely love to be in Darby Creek. Dental.
We could easily put people to sleep, or we could just get them amped up about
Yeah,
something.
I mean we can talk real
Yeah,
quiet,
monotone.
and maybe that'll help put some people to sleep. You won't even have to use like the
Anesthetic.
NOS.
Yeah.
I did tell Derek one time. He's like, "Do you need any nitrous to help calm you down?" I was like, "No, but I could use some in my car." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Okay."
I hate people driver.
What? What?
People are bad drivers sometimes. I need that too.
Where? Oh, okay. I was like, "Where are you going with this?" We went from nitrous to people who are bad drivers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want nitrous driving would probably not be a good scenario either.
Not on a street
Yeah.
car. No, that'd be pretty bad.
Or a race car, any car. It would be bad.
I mean,
Just-
dragsters use nitrous and they use it pretty
yeah,
well,
but not with you. Like,
not with me
inhaling
behind the
it-
wheel.
Inhaling the nitrous, not. Anyways, yeah.
Go watch
Everything's-
the movie Black Sheep with Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get an idea of why we're talking about this. It is laughing gas, so
It
to
is.
speak. So thanks for everyone who joined us live. This is a new thing. We don't know if we're going to be trying to do this more, but
I think we should. I think we'll probably plan some schedules or something for it and be like, hey, we're going to be doing it now. And then it's also going to keep us more, I think, that point to like schedule instead of just like off the cuff. A lot more of it's just like, if we're off the cuff.
We might record it like I don't know, maybe like 10 o'clock tonight. We got
well, we do try to make sure we get this stuff, but we try to
Yeah.
make sure. And I do apologize for not having anything out last week or this Tuesday. I had my little son was very sick, so
What about your big son?
I don't have a big son. So my little son, my
Specific-
little Owen.
Specify him.
Yeah, he was very sick last week, and that kind of put me behind the 8 ball on a lot of things. So he is recovered 100%. He's better. He's got teeth popping out now. He's almost 1 year old. So that took up a lot of my time last week, and so we're finally getting back in the swing of things. I finally felt safe.
Soccer practice and lawn care and all this other stuff. So it's a little
Real
harder to-
world stuff, man.
Yeah, we're real world people doing real world things, talking about cars.
But I just want to say thanks to those who did
Yeah.
join and tell us that everything was working. So that makes us feel a little bit better. So, just thanks for joining us. Stay safe out there, guys. I'm not going to do my normal catchphrase because you already heard it.
And we need to work on it.
We're working on it, man. It's
Ah,
everything's in the
I
the
know.
works.
I don't know.
But that was episode 17 of the Midwest Motoring Podcast, sponsored by Haggerty. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Mike, any final thoughts, or do you want to say anything to
I
the
have
peeps?
a lot of final thoughts, but this is going to continue to ramble on. So no, I'm excited about this.
Well, the
excited about
nice
the
thing
stuff we're
is
going
that Facebook doesn't limit us. We've been going for an hour and 7 minutes.
somebody's probably watching this though.
Oh, the FBI guy in my computer is definitely
Not
enjoying.
even that. I feel like somebody has to monitor these on Facebook. I believe. I don't know. So
I hope they are. I hope somebody's looking at him going, "Who in the heck are these two?"
that one guy
Fools.
looks pretty cool. That other guy, I don't know.
He's fat.
He's just a little bit different.
He's different. It's a very nice way to put it.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed
Yeah,
yourself.
for sure.
We can't wait to do another one with you guys, and we'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you for your support.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Are they gone?
No, I think you have to push end.
Oh, sorry.
Are
Bye,
they
guys.